Welcome to Influence, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of influencer marketing and the creator economy with the people who know it best, the agents, creators, video editors, and marketers who operate behind the scenes. This podcast is hosted by Powder, where streamers can search their best moments to find short, shareable stream clips with AI. And I'm your host, Alyssa Goldberg. I'm really excited about our conversation today. We have with us Grace Mason, founder and CEO of Sway Creations, which works directly with content creators from gaming streamers to professional athletes, including NFL players and boxers, on social media and marketing content, including video and graphic production, social media strategy and management. And she's based in North Carolina in the US, and we are very excited to welcome her to the show today to really dive into the details of what happens behind the scenes for many gaming content creators. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you so much for having me. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. Well, to kick things off, I would love to know, can you share the story of founding Sway Creations and to get your first clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So Sway's start was kind of a funny story. I actually started streaming back in 2016 on a platform called Mixer. Yep. So I got really connected in the gaming industry as a streamer myself. Throughout the years of streaming on Mixer, I, made a lot of connections with, other streamers. One of them was one of my mods actually at the time, who quickly became one of my best friends. Her name's V. She's based in Canada. So fast forward, several years later, last summer we were sitting in Discord like we always do, playing video games. And we started to talk about how there was a lot of content creators that needed support in video editing, social media management, brand deals, sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. And how cool would it be to kind of create something that could support them in every endeavor, right? And boom, Sway was born. So we came up with the crazy idea. We said, you know what, let's do this thing. Let's try it. And, fast forward a couple months later, boom, we had our first client, which actually ended up being a NFL running back. We started working with some individuals that we, were partnered with back on the Mixer days. And here we are today.
How do your clients now typically find you? Is it typically word of mouth?
Word of mouth is the main focus. So the individuals that we work with, we, partner with them for the long run. They enjoy the services that we provide, but also the relationships too.
I know that your background had started in gaming streaming, but you mentioned that your first client was a professional athlete. How does the approach to content creation and management differ between professional athletes and gaming content creators? I know there's a lot of similarities. It's often the first other vertical that a lot of gaming companies expand to is sports, and a lot of sports companies expand into gaming. What similarities and differences are there in terms of content creation and marketing for those two cohorts?
I think the biggest thing is the passion that a athlete has in the gaming space. Obviously, they're competitive individuals, right? So they enjoy playing games with their community, with their friends, all of that kind of stuff. But the difference is obviously their schedule, right? When you're working with a football player, their focus is football, rightfully so, right? So when we're partnering with an individual to help them in the gaming space, it really comes down to the availability that they have, right, to go live or us to continue to create that content for them. Versus a content creator that this is their full-time job, right? They are clocked in, 8-12 hours a day. So it really kind of comes down to the availability when it comes to their time frame for gaming. They're clocked in, 8-12 hours a day. So it really kind of comes down to the availability when it comes to their time frame for gaming, all that kind of stuff.
You know streaming and video editing better than anyone. What makes a great stream? And what makes a great streamer?
Community is everything. So some of the best clips, that we've produced has came from that content creator or that athlete's community, right? Kind of trolling them in the midst of that stream, right? Or leading up to a funny moment. So it really comes down to the community, which That's always our first approach when we're working with an athlete or a content creator. Hey, let us understand your community better because
Mm,
that's who we're trying to reach and beyond that, right? Everything is contagious. So if you have a community that's really big on, either uplifting the content creator, right, or kind of helping them create better content while they're live,
mm,
that's everything in my opinion. So that's kind of the main source when it comes to what makes, a great stream, right? Is comes down to the community, the type of events that a content creator might be hosting. If it's a
mm.
subathon, or a limited time of open lobbies type of event, it comes down to the community.
And so, for a professional athlete, for example, who is interested in gaming, but that's of course not their day job, how do you? I guess you encourage them to stream because they already have this deep fan relationship with their community. Do you recommend certain platforms that they stream on? How do you kind of coach them through that first experience of going
Yeah.
live, or give them tips on how they could improve as a streamer over time?
Yeah, great question. So, when it comes to specific platforms, we encourage them to be everywhere because of
Mm,
their fan base, right? We don't want to limit them to one specific platform. So, we've got them on Twitch, right? We've got them on YouTube, we've got them on TikTok, you name it. When it comes to kind of how we can kind of coach them through the streaming life, right? My first thing that I'm always telling an athlete is, hey, you better be having fun because that's
mm,
contagious for your community. Your fans are here to connect with you kind of on a more personal level, right? In the chat, all that kind of stuff. And we also work directly with athletes to come up with some giveaway tactics, right? What's going to kind of cause your fan base to get excited for upcoming streams. And so it really comes down to first telling them to have fun, right? Number two, be strategic, right, with your campaigns for your streaming because of their time being so sensitive. And number three, content, external content.
yep.
Upload clips to TikTok, upload it to YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, right? Or X, I'm sorry. And, kind of pull that fan base into those streams.
How would you describe the relationship between what a creator can achieve on a live stream and why they should live stream versus what they can achieve with kind of short form content on these algorithmic platforms and why they should be there too? I'm sure most people will say to you, okay, that's a lot of time, that requires a lot of
Yeah.
effort, but why are those two different approaches important to work together in tandem?
Oh my goodness, it's so important. So that visual of the iceberg, right? The tip of the iceberg, and then underneath
Yeah,
that
exactly.
right there sums up everything. So live streaming, going live for 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever. That's the tip of the iceberg.
Mm,
Underneath is all of your business, development, right? When I work with the content creator, I approach it from a place of, hey, this is your business. We don't think 3 months down the road. We always think 3 years. So let's get strategic on your external content. What are you uploading to YouTube? What are you uploading to TikTok, right? What is kind of the algorithm for those platforms for your community? I always encourage content creators, hey, instead of going live 8 hours during the day, go live for 6 hours. Take those 2 additional hours to film content behind the
mm,
scenes, right? Um, in the world that we live in nowadays, back when I streamed in 2016, short form content was just kind of, came
yeah.
around, right? And so nowadays, a content creator has so many options for passive income, right? On all these additional platforms, doing
Mm,
exactly what they do, 12 hours, 8 hours a day by going live. So it really comes down to, hey, pause, take a step back. Let's, build out a blueprint on where do you want to be in 3 years. Okay, here's what we need to start doing to develop that consistency, right?
mm,
And sometimes it's hard for a content creator to step away from the live stream because that's all that they're familiar with. It can be
right.
a little nerve wracking. You feel like you're missing out on potential new viewers, right? Subscriptions, but when you kind of take a step back and see it long term, that kind of helps put things in perspective, in my opinion. So
And do you feel like if someone comes to you and they right now use, I don't know, they're the streaming live on Twitch and they sometimes post short videos on YouTube Shorts and TikTok, do you feel like they should be streaming on the other platforms as well, like on YouTube, on Kick? Do you feel like they should be expanding to any other of the short form platforms as well. Like they should open a Twitter account, they should open a Facebook, they should open Instagram Reels? Or do you feel like having a more targeted approach makes more sense for a creator?
I think they need to open up every single account. So it's kind of the visual. If you have one piece of short form content, use that on all of the platforms. Be strategic with it, right? I wouldn't recommend someone to just upload it on the exact same day that it's going to Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, right? No, be strategic with that. Obviously, each platform is going to require some different types of approaches when it comes to content. But for a content creator, I'm always encouraging them, you need to be everywhere. When it comes to live streaming specifically, that's where we want to get strategic. So right now, multi-streaming everywhere is kind of an option now for content creators with all the different changes on different platforms, right? And a lot of people I've seen have become very excited by that. Oh, I can go live on 4 different platforms at once. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
But I kind of use the approach, and this might be a dumb kind of example, but let's say you're a restaurant owner and you have multiple locations. If you wanted to pull traffic to one restaurant, you're going to host a specific special on a specific day, right?
Right.
So when it comes to live streaming, maybe have a schedule to where, hey, I'm live on, Twitch, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and TikTok.
Yeah, or like maybe you have a certain series that only runs on Saturdays on Twitch, but on Kick you typically do some sort of interactive fan experience that is much more tailored to that platform. It makes a lot of sense to me. And you mentioned, sometimes streamers are live for 8 to 12 hours a day. Can you explain to me, to everyone, kind of what is happening in those 8 to 12 hours, and then what's happening immediately after? How does your role kind of fit into that timeline?
Yeah. So, unless you've done it, I don't think individuals fully understand, that type of lifestyle, right? That grind that you have to
Yeah.
do, because it's long, right? That's what, almost
That is a
60
long
hours
time to be
plus a
on.
month. Yes, it's insane. So, it's one of those things to where some people prefer that, right? It's more comfortable for them, and then they are, leaning on us to help develop content for them to post externally. So a lot of individuals kind of focus in on that versus, yes, it is time consuming. So what's going on is, they're starting at a certain time. Hopefully they're able to take a break, right, to go get, lunch or order DoorDash or whatever it is.
Yep.
And for these full-time content creators, they're live 6 days out of the week, sometimes 7, right? Exactly. So
Yeah, it's really a lot.
it is. It's insane, and I pat themselves on the back because I could not do that. It takes someone special to be able to do that.
It's really so difficult to be on in a live environment. And I know that one of the things that we all love about streamers is the feeling of authenticity, right? That you really get to know someone. But at the same time, I mean, you almost have to be authentic because it is such a long period of time that you just cannot keep a mask up for that long.
No.
But it's also incredibly draining to have yourself exposed to certain scrutiny for such a prolonged period of time. And I know that with streamers that I've spoken to, when they're first growing, they don't know if there's going to be anyone in the room.
Exactly.
And they have to keep things going, whether there's 0 people there or 2 people there or 300 people there, because you never know if you're at 0 people, if someone enters the room and you're not doing anything, they're definitely going to leave.
Right. I always tell individuals, like, hey, if you're really great at talking to yourself, then this is the perfect option, for you, because you do.
If you have a touch of delusion and have a personal narrative running at all time, I certainly do.
But that's the thing. I'm big on, there's a term that we use in the streaming community called lurking, and it's when you have like a stream pulled up, but you're not talking, right? You're just watching and listening. I do that every single day. I have multiple people pulled up, right? But that's something as a streamer, I mean, I can tell you, first and foremost that that's hard. Like when you look down and you see that you've got someone watching you, but no one's engaging in chat, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
do I just talk to myself or whatnot? But one thing that I've noticed that a lot of individuals do, and it helps their, channel grow, is in those type of moments, even, a content creator that does have a lot of viewers, right? And their community might just not be as active in chat.
Mm,
Kind of engaging in the gameplay, talking through certain
right.
things. And then, when it comes down to that, that's an approach that you can use externally for TikTok. Let's say you're recording, right? And you're talking through, a new Warzone map and best loadout and everything of this nature, right? Boom, that's material that we can utilize for short form content, long form content.
Mm,
It's more strategic when it comes down to your time.
right, exactly. Because even if no one was engaging on that particular stream, you could have that as a short clip that's, a tip or a trick or something that would have a great search headline
Right.
that would really soar on a social platform.
A great thumbnail for YouTube, you know what I mean?
It's as someone who, is really skilled at video editing, how does the post-production process for live stream content differ from, I guess, traditional video editing, uh, if at all? Like, what are the factors that go into making a great clip for
Yeah.
you?
So it's way different than, I guess post production for businesses or
Right.
campaigns or anything of that nature. You are really trying to find like that gold nugget, right? What's that one little piece in that clip that's going to hook that audience? Because with short form content, you literally have the first 2 seconds, in a video to hook someone, right?
Yep.
So when we have clips submitted by our community for editing. Oh my gosh, our post production team is so talented when it comes to finding those gold nugget pieces. And sometimes we'll have content creators submit clips and they don't even know where to begin. And sometimes, as a content creator, you don't even know that you're funny in certain aspects, right? So it's kind of fun to
Yeah.
have another individual kind of highlight those moments and highlight your personality.
Okay, if I was a content creator and I have 0 followers, how do I go from my first 0 to my first 100?
Strategy and scheduling. So, we work with a blend of full time content creators and part time content creators. Some individuals who really just do this as a hobby, they just enjoy it, right?
Mm,
Um, it really comes down to, scheduling your week appropriately. So, if you're looking to go from 0 to 100, hey, let's get a stream schedule kind of locked in, what platforms you're going to be live streaming on, and then let's also time block specific, hours of the day or 30 minutes, right, to film some content just for TikTok, just for YouTube Short. So that's the first approach. The next approach is networking. Oh my goodness, we live in a world now, obviously, right, that we can
yeah.
network just remotely. So get to know other people, not to take advantage of anyone's community or stream, but to build connections. That's big and huge, especially in this industry.
How can someone use networking? Like, okay, I have 0 followers. I'm excited. I'm ambitious. I like set up my schedule. I have big aspirations. I don't want 100 followers. I want 1,000 followers. I want
1
10,000 followers.
million.
I want 1 million followers. I want to be ninjet, right? Um, and how do I don't know anyone in the industry yet. I don't know other streamers yet. Of course, I have joined a few discords. I'm kind of lurking. I've like watched many streams before. How would someone get started on that networking journey, and what are the best ways to collaborate with other streamers who have similar ambitions?
First and foremost, what are you passionate about? So when it comes to the gaming space, what, game do you genuinely love to play and
Hmm.
you want to stream that? Once, let's say, you're a World of Warcraft streamer, right? You love World of Warcraft. It doesn't give you any anxiety to go live while playing that, right? It's a game that you can also engage in chat, right? And not get, thrown off by your gameplay. The first step would be, hey, become familiar with some other World of Warcraft streamers or a community that plays that similar game. Develop friendships. We live in, a world now to where, I mean, like I said, how Sway started with, one of my mods who became one of my best friends.
Yep.
Fun fact, we've never met in person.
I love
we will
that.
be meeting in person for the first time on my wedding day. She's in my wedding.
That's so exciting.
Right. So it's like, start there, develop friendships. There's so many communities out there that are so welcoming, not just to individuals that want to, watch and view, but also fellow streamers, right? So finalize and figure out what game you want to start playing, what game you want to start streaming, get to know that community, right? Develop those relationships, and then potentially collab, right? Hey, reach out to a streamer that you've gotten to know. Hey, I'm looking to run X, Y, and Z. Could we do a co-stream, right? Could we do an event? That way, we can highlight both communities. There's so many different ways to kind of, work together in order to grow together.
So if someone was just starting out and they want to, they want to live stream, how do you think about what the difference is between getting started on Twitch versus YouTube versus Kick? And what would you say are the different approaches for the different platforms, and like who lives there?
Yeah. I think it really comes down to where you're going to feel the most comfortable. And if this is like a full-time thing, right, you want to take into account, obviously, the revenue opportunity regarding platform split, but it really comes down to your level of comfort. And I would encourage an individual, hey, check out every spot, right? Become familiar with the other content creators that are listed under the, YouTube platform, under the Twitch, under the Kick, right? Under TikTok, right?
Yep.
And really kind of focus in on that. The next thing I would recommend is try all of them, right? See what's comfortable when it comes to being live. Every platform is different when it comes to their creator dashboard, right? When you're actually live and the assets
Right.
that you have. So see what works best for your style because everyone's different. Never like settle. I visualize a platform kind of like a storefront, right? If you're a business owner, like I was kind of using the example earlier, and you have a storefront, regardless if you are renting it, right? Let's say you're renting it with a landlord. Regardless of the landlord, you want to do what's best for your business. Same approach with a platform. Do what's best for your business. Do what's best for your community because they're the reason you have that business.
Right.
And kind of get a gauge on that comfortability when it comes to those platforms specifically.
There's no one size fits all approach to live streaming, and I think that the dynamics of the industry have changed so much. What was possible on Twitch 10 years ago is maybe not so possible for someone just starting out. I know that you advocate a lot on behalf of various content creators. In terms of things like content rights, publication rights, what are some things that content creators should be aware of when they are working with a brand or they are navigating their first monetization opportunities?
Well, first and foremost, if you are doing an ad, music, copyright music is a big thing, right? Making sure that you're covered there. We're big on relationships, looking into a brand in more depth, understanding their motives, right? And making sure it's a good fit for that individual. And, really looking into the terms, how long does this campaign need to run? Looking into the potential of how can this support my community versus harm my community further down the road. When we work directly with brands from a sponsorship, opportunity for creators. I always tell a content creator, do you like the product, right? Not just because you want your name attached to it, but do you genuinely like the product, right? And I'm wearing Gunner glasses because I love the product.
It's really hard to sell something that you don't care about. And it's definitely really hard to do that over a long period of time. And when you're making a relationship with a brand where you are the voice of the brand as an influencer, you are the voice, you have to believe in what you're selling because I think especially audiences on social media, especially live streaming audiences, can kind of see through the nonsense. You were mentioning before, we were talking about how long people typically stream for and about how difficult it is to maintain a kind of healthy stream life balance, if you will. What advice would you give to live streamers to manage their time and energy effectively? And in your experience, what does creator burnout look like? And how do you know if you're approaching the edge? And how do you know how to pull back?
Yeah. First thing is prioritizing yourself. I think as a content creator, you're trying to take care of everyone in your community, right? Give them the best content, be live for them. And that gets lost sometimes is, oh, wait, I'm a person as well. I'm not a
Yeah,
robot, right? So
exactly.
that's the first step. In this industry alone, mental health is a huge, needs to become a even larger focus. More conversations on that specific as well, because being a content creator is hard. Not just the hours that you have to put into it, but you have to also recognize that they have individuals come into their stream that are not pleasant individuals, and they are
Nope.
trolling them or talking very poorly about the content creator. And so that's hard, right? It's kind of that bullying aspect. So imagine being live for 8 hours, and 2 of those hours you're just getting trolled left and right. That's tricky. Some individuals might not see that, right? So let's say I'm streaming and you're just lurking in my chat and someone comes in and drops a really hateful comment. My mods are going to delete that right then and there, but I still see it behind the scenes.
Right.
Content creators see everything that's deleted. That's hard, right? That's difficult to kind of motivate and inspire an individual. So obviously prioritizing yourself, recognizing that, hey, this is going to be here if you need to take a day off. I see a lot of content creators get so scared that, oh, if I take a day off or if I take 2 days, right, to kind of take time for myself, my family, right, they get very scared because they're afraid they're going to miss out on opportunity. And that's where, kind of having those strategies on, well, if you have content going out on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, you can take those days for yourself. When it comes to burnout, trust your gut. If you sit down at your computer and you feel like, oh, I don't want to do
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
that's probably a good, you probably need to take a step back and go touch some grass, go grab an iced coffee and sit outside. Trust yourself. That's big. And don't have FOMO, right? Don't have that fear of missing out, because if you have the strategies to back up your content, you will be okay. Authenticity, the people are drawn to that. So if that content creator gets to that burnout stage, more than
Mm.
likely they're not being themselves, right?
Yep.
And so your community is going to pick up on that, not for that to scare you, but we're only human, right? You're going to have
Yeah.
off days. You might not even be burnout, but you might just have a really hard day.
You have a really cool vantage point across a lot of different areas of working with content creators. What trends are you currently observing in live stream and content creation at the end of 2023 going into 2024?
Yeah. So when it comes to, gaming specifically, December is always a big campaign push for brand new games. So you've got the brand new
Mm.
Warzone season, right? There's this game that's been floating around called Lethal Company that has been
Yes.
absolutely hilarious. I've personally played it, I've personally streamed it, and it is so much fun. So you have these games that will come about, right? That then develop trends themselves,
Mm.
or these like, hey, I'm going to try to do X, Y, and Z in this game because I've heard it's super difficult. But when it comes to live streaming as a whole, something that has really started to take off is IRL live streaming. So
Mm.
individuals not even playing a game but just doing stuff, right?
When you talk about IRL live streaming, can you give me an example of one that you've watched relatively recently to give people who haven't seen one yet an idea of what that's like and what form it could take?
So we work with a content creator that is on the Kick platform, and he was actually attending a conference out in California, a gaming
Mm,
conference. He live streamed the entire thing, which was a
mm,
cool because individuals who couldn't attend that conference, right, or that convention, they were able to kind of watch it from his perspective.
totally.
So it's such a cool experience, right? For individuals who, I'm on the East Coast, so I had some FOMO, right, for that event, and to be able to kind of see it from his perspective was really, really cool. So that's something I'm excited to kind of see, go into 2024.
I was at Gamescom in Cologne this year and at TwitchCon in Paris this year, and it was really cool to see really big streamers walking around with selfie sticks,
Yep.
and they would just be eating lunch together or kind of hanging out, just vibing with other streamers. And they were able to live stream that entire event for their communities to see who couldn't make it across the pond, and then also watching them in real life
Mm-hmm.
engage with other people that they might recognize is also a particularly cool thing to see
All right.
because it's kind of a fish out of water experience. Um,
Yep.
and it was really fun to watch a lot of those.
I think that that's the beauty of IRL streaming and kind of giving back to your community in that way. Or also, you have to think about some of these content creators got to go to that event because of their community, right?
Right.
Supporting them. So, them having the opportunity to see that through that content creator's eyes, right, and the enjoyment that they're having too is so powerful, in my opinion, when it comes to them kind of showing their passion of live streaming.
Are there any specific skills or experiences you believe are crucial for success as a video editor?
Oh my goodness, patience. Because you have to think of, when we're working on a long form video, focusing in on a game highlight or a game tutorial or whatnot, the footage that our editors are sorting through, there's a lot of content there. So the patience that they have to really kind of, okay, let me focus in on the most important parts, right? How can I tie this together? The next step is obviously creativity, like giving your own creative touch to something. We want to take the content that's given to us from the content creator, highlight them, but also add our own kind of flair and touch on it
Yep.
as well, because that's that human, interaction, so to speak.
Similar question though, but on the talent management side, are there any specific skills or experiences you feel are really crucial for success? So you mentioned patience and creativity for video editors, but if you're working with talent and helping them to kind of manage their time and their strategy, what skills apply in that setting?
I don't know if this is classified as like an actual skill, but confidence is a big thing.
Mm.
So, when we work with individuals on that talent approach, obviously we're there, for them, right? We're there to negotiate on their behalf. We're there to kind of build out campaigns on their behalf. We're there to coach them, on that as well. So, there's, I can't tell you how many times I've been approached and said, they've said, "Hey, Grace, I want y'all's help in this area because I don't know how to do it." Right. And so it kind of falls into that confidence approach. Hey, we'll teach you, not because we don't want to help you. We're going to continue to be present, but we want you to learn this too because it's important. Right. Um,
Mm.
the next step, I think, is, you know, deliverables are big. So making sure that you are organized on your end too when it comes to the time, right? Your schedule, making sure that your schedule allows for you to be able to provide those deliverables that are agreed upon, right, with a brand. And also making sure that you're bringing the enthusiasm as well. As a content creator, obviously we've been over the long days, right, everything of that nature. So just making sure that you're holding yourself accountable to deliver that ad or that brand deal sponsorship, right, in the best way possible.
What's
Yes.
one tip you would give to someone to be a better negotiator, or one tactic that you can recommend that an influencer uses when they are working with someone that they, want a good deal, but they don't want to piss them off?
Yeah. So
Because that's the balance of negotiating.
right. The approach is always that don't think 3 months down the road, think 3 years. So it's how can I, propose something to this brand that I genuinely want to work with for the next 3 years, so to speak, right? Um, it's It's kind of like the example of if you have a set amount of money that you want to invest in, something, right? You shouldn't go to the store and spend a whole bunch of money on shoes, right? Just because you've got that money, right? It's no, how
Why
can I,
not?
right?
Just kidding.
How
I'm
can
just
I
kidding.
spread that to set myself up for success further down the road? So that's the first step when it comes to negotiating is number one, recognize that you're human. The individual that's associated with the brand is human, right? Make sure it's a good fit. Make sure that there's clear expectations on, not just this campaign, but further down the road, right? Let's go ahead and get that conversation started. And then making sure that it's, something that's comfortable for you. And yes, your lifestyle, but also, sometimes your lifestyle does have to shift and change and evolve based on certain
Of
things.
course.
So utilizing that 3-year approach. Don't think 3 months down the road, oh, it'd be great to have this amount of money so I can blow it on X, Y, and Z. No. Think, oh, it would be great to have this relationship for years and years to come.
If a creator was looking to connect with someone like you, how would you recommend they go about doing it? I mean, of course they can always contact Sway Creations, but I mean, like if they're looking for someone who's a great fit for them to help them with the post-production editing, to help them kind of think about their career, either as a part-time or full-time content creator, how would you recommend they assess someone to be a good or bad fit?
So authenticity is everything. People can smell bull crap. All right. So if you are sitting down with an individual and you don't feel peace, right? There's something off.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to that. It comes down to the overall vision. So if you're looking to work with an individual to represent you, make sure that they can see your future, sometimes beyond what you can see, because obviously in order to grow you have to be challenged. So that would be the first thing, is make sure that it's a good fit. Make sure that the individual that you're looking to represent you understands you, and beyond that, is willing to go to bat for you, but
Yeah.
also kind of bring new tactics and things to the table. Follow peace. Peace will never lead you astray. And if you don't feel peace, don't settle. Never settle.
Of course, there are lots of empirical factors, and everyone has pros and cons lists and big spreadsheets and things like that. But when all things are equal, at the end of the day, you end up going with a gut feeling of, do you feel like this person understands you? Do you feel like you can achieve your business goals with them? And like you can have a relationship where you can call them and you can ask them questions and you can feel stupid and you can get excited together and you want to share in each other's success. And I think it's something that, you know, it's easy to discount vibes, but
Right.
also, right, because it sounds like a joke, it sounds ridiculous, but at the same time, that's a lot of the equation, and
Absolutely.
definitely over time in your professional career, your intuition gets fine-tuned, and so that gut feeling is more and more meaningful over time.
Absolutely. And also, if someone is not capable of listening to you and they can only speak, or share things, or, hey, you need to get to X, Y, and Z, but they don't take the time to actually hear you, that's a red flag.
Yep.
So, trust your gut and make sure that they're willing to listen to your goals, right? And what you're wanting to kind of accomplish in this career too.
Is there anything else that you feel like we should cover that we didn't cover yet?
So I think my biggest thing to leave, everyone at, and thank you so much for having me on this podcast. First and foremost, is at the end of the day, we're all people. Let's continue to be kind. Let's continue to do good, right? And yes, this industry is intense. It's challenging. It is competitive, but it doesn't always have to be a competition. We can continue to support one another while also growing ourselves.
Yeah, I think those are wise words to leave with. So thank you so much for tuning in to Influence. It was really wonderful having Grace here today. Remember that with every episode, we bring you the minds and voices leading the charge in the influencer marketing world, helping you stay ahead in this rapidly changing landscape. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And follow us on social media at PowderGG on Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more updates and behind the scenes content. And check out Sway Creations on everywhere that they are. Thanks so much, Grace.
Thank you so much.